Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, so thank you so much for having me for your creative workshop today. I've been looking forward to this all day because I get to talk about something that I love, and it's also been sort of brought up a few times throughout some of the other parallel sessions as well, which fills me with lots of joy because it just sparks that special interest, and then suddenly I'm 100% committed and listening. But the goal for today's workshop is we are going to be creating a zine. But if you don't know what a zine is, that's okay. I've got a little slide just as an overview. I know some of you are very well versed, so that's always really good to know. And the goal is, I hope, to get to a point where we can share them on the Padlet in the hope of disseminating and sharing our knowledge and takeaways and everything from the day. So there is a collective fold, and obviously all of us are going to be folding at the same time. And I'm trusting myself that everyone's going to do it right, but
Right.
you never know. You never know. So just bear with me. So just as an overview, so what is a zine? So a zine is pronounced like magazine, or it comes from the phrase fanzine. They can be handmade, they can be digital, and they can often sort of exist in the spaces in between. And the best thing about them is they can literally be about anything, which makes them really special. They're non-linear, so to turn the page of a zine is to turn to something not fixed. So how your zine exists and how you read your zine and how you invite others to engage with your zine is totally up to you, which adds a lot of dynamism and variety as well. Zines can be used, created using any materials. I think the method we're going to adopt today is like the classic cut and stick approach that everybody loves and is kind of rooted deep in that zine culture. But they can also be quite fancy as well. So don't feel like just because mine looks like it's been made from a magazine, yours has to as well. At their core, they're participatory. So kind of like this conference today, they push back against the single author model, and they sort of come together to create a larger body of work, which is kind of what we're all up to today. They're excellent tools for knowledge dissemination and sharing, and the best thing about them is they value knowledge, new and old. They generate space for everyone, which feels really full circle because when I think back to Lou's talk this morning about advocacy and allyship, they're just a brilliant way of communicating with lots of groups, lots of people, and having a voice. And their subjectivity is their superpower, which is great. So now we know what a zine is, we are going to fold one. So if you have your piece of paper with you, now will be the time to grab your paper. So what I'm going to ask you to do is fold your paper into 8. So it will look like, I do have some images on the screen that hopefully you should be able to see. Brilliant. So once you've folded your paper into 8, I'm going to put the camera on just so I can see everyone doing that. But I promise this bit's going to be the trickiest part. The rest of it's the easy part. Brilliant. So I think most people have got them into 8. So step number 2 is if we fold it in half, and we're going to grab our scissors, and then we're going to cut just along this central line. So just to this point here. So just along there. But then you should have a little hole that you might be able to look through. Great. You can see people have got there. Brilliant. So this is the bit where it's gonna be fine, guys. We can do it. So we're gonna fold it over on itself. So now it looks like long ways. Great. And then just imagine like you're playing an accordion and you're gonna push it together and it should look like this. And then fold it over and you should have your OG zine sort of flat that you can work from. And I'm hoping everyone has something that resembles a book to some description. Yay, I can see them all. Just like that. Thank you. Do, do, do. Nice. Usually do this with a room full of 30, 16-year-olds, and then they all just start collectively being like, why does mine look like this? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what you've done. That's all good. Brilliant. So everyone's got their zine. So this is what we're going to be working on today. So you can either work on it traditionally, sort of page by page, or I like to work on it as more of like a flat surface. So this is what you call your master flat. And the best thing about zines is what I was just saying about dissemination and knowledge sharing is when they're A3 in this size, you can put them through the photocopier. So if you work in a school or college where you get free printing, and you're quid in, you can make loads and share them with everyone. So that's really, really great. But in terms of what they can look like, these are some made by me and some of my friends. But this is like my Blue Peter moment. Here's one I made earlier. So throughout the day, I've been adding lots of lovely things that you guys are saying into my zine that I'll share with you after. But your zine can exist however you want it to be. I've seen ones that are quite liminal. I've seen ones that are carnaged. Your writing can go in any order that you want. But I did ask you to bring a magazine, but if you don't have a magazine, that's okay. But I just wanted to touch on image and text appropriation. So I was just in a talk from one of the parallel sessions saying how can we communicate or evaluate without using words. But one thing I find helpful, particularly when working with adults with complex backgrounds, using image and word appropriation can be really insightful for like eliciting meaningful conversation and giving people access to words and language that they don't have access to in their vocabulary. So it can be really, really special. It's not something new. Appropriation has been going on for a long time. I know there are a lot of tensions around copyright, but we will just ignore that today because that's we are living our best lives. But yeah, so in this workshop, I can either appropriate images and text from magazines, or you can draw. You could use junk mail that's come through the post. You could use a newspaper, magazine, a book that you've decided that you no longer want. Or if you're Vega, you've probably got lots of lovely prints that you might not want to use anymore, ones that have gone wrong. You could use those. You can use whatever you want. They don't have any rules. You can explore and create however you want. But I'm just asking today if we could focus our zines around maybe key takeaways, interests, learning that we've like, acquired throughout the sort of day. But this is an example of a page I made. So I included my artistic license. So I said this zine entitles me to reflect, play, and remember. And I was thinking about the ideas of allyship, so uniting the world, it's ours. I also found a picture of a girl with red lipstick all over her face. That resonated with me because I didn't realize how much I touched my face until my sister said, "You've got lipstick on your nose." And I was like, brilliant. But you can sort of enhance your zine however you want. But yes, so for the last sort of like 15 or so minutes, I just invite you to create your zine based around what you've experienced today. You could use appropriate images, you could draw, you could write. I don't mind. It's up to you how you want to do that. And I know this is quite a small session, and to get a whole zine done in like 20, 30 minutes, it's like rocket speed. So don't worry if you want to go home and work on it or you want to work on it later throughout the week. It would just be great to see them on the Padlet so we can share and disseminate what we've made. So I'm just having a look in the chat. Brilliant. I'm going to work on mine too. Has anyone found anything today that's like particularly poignant or stuck out to them?
I always think it is fascinating how the keynote always just resonates through the rest of the day. So starting us this morning really thinking about, perhaps positionality and our privileges and the learners we work with, and then, and unintentionally seeing those themes pop up in pretty much all of the presentations that I've had the privilege of watching today.
No, I totally agree with you. I found it sort of like everything's felt quite full circle and really connected. And one thing I've heard quite a few times today, which I've included in my zine, is people say, I feel really lucky to be able to do this. But I said in one of the parallel session chats earlier, like it's not luck. Everyone works really, really hard. So all those wonderful opportunities and projects you get to do, like you deserve it. Like it's not it's not luck. And I also learned a new Welsh word, and I've written today has been, and it's a feast in English, but it's WGLEDD. I love that word. I'm not going to try and pronounce it because I will just slaughter it. So let's not ruin the Welsh language. I'll say this is probably the quietest class I've ever had the pleasure of being in, usually. Not blessed with such a privilege. I'm really aware that I'm like leaning right in, but I'm just being really nosy and looking at everyone's looking at everyone's screens.
No one has any questions for Ronnie as you work as well. Make the most of her while she's here.
Yeah. Yeah, and don't feel like you've got to have your mics off either. I don't mind hearing snipping noises.
So Ronnie, so the difference between an artist book and a zine.
Yeah. There's a conversation I've literally had the other day that's so funny that oh,
Yeah, I mean, artist books are, in a way they're beautiful, and when does it become a zine, or is it more about it being community? No, tell me more.
I think for me, I was actually talking to my friend about this the other day because we work in when I work in the college, there are lots of people who make zines and stuff, and we're like, is that a zine or is it an artist? But I think for me, the
Yeah,
difference about a zine is that you're disseminating some kind of knowledge or experience. And I know an artist book can do that, whether that's through
yeah.
a like a tactile sense or for like a written sense. But I think for me, there is just that, I guess it's some type of knowledge sharing.
Mm.
I think that for me is the core difference.
And
That's
yeah, I can see that they're also, so they're having they could be influential, they could be sort of activate sort of a agency and change. Do you
yeah,
think? Yeah.
I think so. So I've been to some really brilliant zine fairs. There's an amazing one in Oxford at the Bodleian Libraries that is really really well organized. If you ever get the opportunity to go, it is free. It's usually in February, and they'll have all different speakers that make zines from all different parts of the country, and they'll have lots of stalls with lots of people. And there are lots. They've zines about everything from sort of like I bought a really brilliant one about like LGBT visions of like domesticity, but then bought another one about turtles. So it's sort of like they're really really strange, all different ones. And I've seen ones made up on like old McDonald's bags and all sorts and receipts. So they're really hard to capture, I think, in terms of saying what one is and what one isn't. And I think there is a little bit of gatekeeping around people saying what can be a zine and what can't be a zine. And I think I don't want to stifle anyone's creativity or passion or vision by saying, if you know what I mean.
Oh, you've sort of really helped and explained it for me really well. That they have a driver maybe, or yeah, I love the idea that they can be persuasive. I'm kind of thinking of, you spoke about how you could have it on use a photocopier, and there's a lovely paper cafe. It's called Paper Stories Cafe, and they have Riso printing in there. And yeah, go on.
I love risographs, and that's another thing at the Oxford Zine Fair. They have like all the old school printers out, and you're just invited to have a go, which I think is so special because you don't usually just be. They're like, yeah, just do it, have a go, have a go. Why not? It's really really cool. But yeah, someone's put happy to chat artist books versus zines for those who are interested. My training enabled me to. I'd love to, yeah, practice.
Wow.
Perfect. Yeah, Mary, I'll get in contact. If I think I will DM you my Instagram or LinkedIn, and hopefully we can.
Mm.
There we go. Brilliant. So I think if we make for like another 2 minutes, and then I'm going to do that classic art teacher thing and see if anybody wants to share what they made. But obviously no pressure. If you're like, no, it's not finished, that's okay. Oh. But I think zines are having a little bit of like a resurgence, and I
Yeah.
just sort of got maybe a little bit sick of like the digital world. I think where zines were all about like special interest and like the ability to collect and store lots of like a treasured thing about our special interest. Suddenly we had like blogs, we had Instagram, we've got Pinterest. That kind of necessity was swapped for maybe ease. But I think now we're getting a little bit more complacent and maybe a little bit more wary of digital. I think they are coming back. And I don't know if that's just red car syndrome. Like, do you know, when you're like, yeah, I'm really interested in this thing, and or when you buy a red car and suddenly you see loads of red cars. I'm not sure if it's like that, but I do feel like there's more space for them.
And is it sort of is there an international community of zine makers? It's not UK only, it's really worldwide?
Yeah, that's amazing. It's all over the world. I follow a really brilliant Instagram, and it's all just about like Japanese scenes, and like they're just some of them are so beautiful. And I'm like way beyond my skill set, but it doesn't mean I can't enjoy them. But also like when I was doing my doctoral research, which uses scenes, I just found like a really interesting quote, and I found the zine maker online. I just said, I found this quote from you, but I can't find the zine. And then she sent me the full zine. She said, don't share it with anyone, but here it is. So there's like a real special generosity in terms of zines, and that's where the photocopier comes into it, because they're so easy to reproduce. Is you can share them with everyone really, really easily. And people who are interested without much financial pressure, which I know for art, if you're making like a painting, a sculpture, etc., it's a little bit more hard to share than something you can put through the photocopier.
Have you got any of yours, Ronnie, available here by
No,
your
I, I would say yeah, but I'm having to go to my mum's because my Wi-Fi's not working, and there's a leak here. So it's basically I was destined for failure from day one, but I'm resilient.
No.
So I try my best. But I do, if on my Instagram, I've got lots of different ones. I've sort of make ones that are maybe a little bit more formal. And then for example, I made one the other day about International Women's Day, about your rights on women on International Women's Day. But that was just, it took me like 3-4 minutes, and it's about this big. So it kind of really depends how long you want to spend on making them.
Oh. Can we see your one that you've got there that you've made?
Of course, hopefully. So this is the one I've made today. So it says Beyond Boundaries, and it's got a cat on it because I love cats. I don't own a cat, but I just really love cats. And then this is my first page. This is my page about takeaways. So it says that it's not just luck, we all work really hard, and community grows and grows. And I appropriated this image of a flower. Well, it's a flower sculpture growing out of some concrete. And then I've got my new favorite Welsh word and a girl with red lipstick smeared all over her face because that's me. The word ecologies, and I've got I got them bravery in small moments every day, and unite for the world, it is ours, and then my artistic license at the top. And then on my learnings page, I've got two of the books that were referenced this morning from Yoko Ono, and then the oblique strategies. The words connected and people-centered, and also we need space for adult learners. And then break out the world, and then allyship matters for all of us, it does. And then two people holding a map, because that's what learning feels like to me. I don't really know where I'm going, but I kind of have a rough idea.
Small.
And then my last page is just like general interest. I've got a quote from Abby from her parallel session. It says, never let the end be a full stop. And then I accidentally drew a full stop, and I was like, oh no. So I had to change it. I know, I did it, and then I read it back. I was like, I can't do that. So I had to change it to an exclamation mark. So now it looks like I'm shouting, never let the end be a full stop. But I wasn't meant to be shouting there. But that was just my bad. And also I wrote about arts and health, because just like the connectivity, I think, between arts and health is massive. And it's been highlighted today about the ability to reduce social isolation, and that co-creation is power, and then there's lots of it, but also who am I? I'm still figuring that out, I think. And then I did my last page, which was just writing